Let's go back to our docs, and if we scroll a bit further down, we will run into the next placeholder, which we will use later on in this course. And I will just explain in this part. So we have the element placeholder. This is also an interesting one that was not added that long ago. Well, it's been a couple of years already, actually. And then we have the EscapeDataString. That's the one I want to highlight because in the current state of things, in the current world, we're using more and more web applications to actually visualize what we want to have. With the EscapeDataString, we can actually enter any text behind the keyword, and the result will be that it will be encoded to pass in a URL. Later on, we will see how we can use this to actually pass on dynamic data in the URL. So we will be using the EscapeDataString along with another placeholder to actually open a dashboard that has a very specific element context. The last placeholder I want to highlight before we move on to actually nesting the placeholders is probably the most used placeholder in all of Visual Overview, especially in the more advanced ones, namely the regexreplace. The regexreplace is used in a plethora of situations because it can match any part of text, and it can replace it with another part of text. And you can put any input in there, being other placeholders, other dynamic things, or even static fields. And it can even use tokens, as you can see in this example here, to actually reuse all of the matches and, for instance, make a nice subscription filter based on just the values. So what does it look like? First off, the regexreplace takes 3 arguments. The first one is our regular expression, so this can contain tokens, as I said. Then we have our input, which is any input, any placeholder, any data, whatever, as long as it resolves to text, which anything in Visio does. And then finally, the way we will replace each of our matches. Let me show you a quick example, a simple example in our master detail view. So in our master detail view, I have several child shapes here, but as you can see, for every single one of them, they actually start with rc-ird- and then the name of whatever channel we're talking about. So I want to make this a bit cleaner. I only want to see the name of the channel because I know I'm looking at a list of IRDs. So I will go here and I will take this name placeholder. Well, actually, I can just relink the entire element. And instead of adding this, I could use the regexreplace. That's one option, but I could also just... But that doesn't solve the fact that I will still see the other name, so I will just change this text here, and I will wrap the name placeholder. So this is actually already an example of nesting in a regexreplace. First argument for my regexreplace is, as I said, the regular expression that we want to match on. So in our case, that's just rc-ird-. That's all we want to match because we just want to replace this with an empty string. Then we have the input, of course, the name of our element, which will be resolved first and then passed on to the regexreplace. And then eventually we want to replace rc-ird- with nothing. That's it. So we just leave this empty. I can save this, and you can see it actually shows me all of the names of the elements. Let me quickly change the font here, make it a bit cleaner. And you can see here, it still opens up the right element, but it displays just like the channel name. One thing though, our selection variable is set based on the text displayed in the shape. So that means this part no longer works. For this to work, we need to actually go here to the detail view, take the outer group shape, and because placeholders are just text, I can just prepend this with the thing I just left out and paste the variable right behind it. If I now save, you will see this works again. And it's just taking France2 and appending it to rc-ird-, making sure this shows correctly. That was the intro to the regexreplace. Later, we will of course combine it with the slideshow as we saw. And don't forget, I didn't use tokens here, but you can use them. Let me just quickly show you in the docs how it works. So to define a token in regular expressions, you put a question mark and then the smaller than greater than sign to define the name of your token. And then right behind that, still between the brackets, you can add whatever part you want to match on, so the part that you want to result in the token. So in this case, we're actually matching on anything, any series of characters that is not a pipe character. Our input was alpha, pipe, beta, pipe, gamma, pipe, delta, which is the content of our session variable. And then what we want to do is actually replace the entire match, every match. So we match the separator here again as well, as you can see. This token is actually redundant because we don't need that. We can just match the pipe and we don't want to reuse it anyway. And then eventually we will replace every match with value equals our column ID, and then eventually our token, which results in every match found, every alpha pipe or end of string, as you can see here, will result in an entry. So here it's replacing alpha, which it found in the token, and then pipe with value equals 1005 equals alpha semicolon. So this is one match that is being replaced. The whole thing is repeated until the end of the string, which is also matched by this part. And that's it. That's how tokens work. These can also be leveraged in a lot of different ways, but that's not something we will cover in this session.